As the 20th century dawned, the Ku Klux Klan was a fading memory. Recollections of the hooded order were tainted by popular literature, which portrayed the invisible empire as an heroic force, simply battling to maintain the proper social order. This fanciful remembrance would help fuel the Klan's revival. On Thanksgiving Eve, 1915, 16 men gathered atop Stone Mountain in Georgia. As night fell, a towering cross was ignited and the Ku Klux Klan was reborn. The organizer of the spectacle was a preacher-turned-salesman named William Joseph Simmons.
Colonel William J. Simmons was a failed Methodist clergyman who had left the cloth in order to become a fraternal organizer.
Simmons claimed the idea of starting a new Klan came to him in a vision. The birth of the group was simply a matter of timing. The moment arrived with the release of one of the greatest cinematic achievements of its time. Just days following the Stone Mountain Cross burning, The Birth of a Nation was released in the South. D.W. Griffith's film played to sold-out theaters. The filmmaking was flawless. The history was not.
In The Birth of the Nation, the Klan is a heroic force. It is the defender of white womanhood against the ravages of the newly freed slaves, these animals, these beasts, whose main purpose in life is to ravage white women. It's a heroic force. It's a noble force.
In the film's climactic scene, a group of hooded Klansmen ride to the rescue of the film's imperiled heroine as she is threatened by lust-crazed black men.
Black Americans reacted to Birth of the Nation with horror, with protest, with demonstrations. It was an assault on black America at a time when there were no depictions of black people as human beings. This depicted us as beasts and depicted these criminals as heroes and saviors.
Despite its historical inaccuracies, the film gained legitimacy after President Woodrow Wilson screened the epic in the White House. "It is like writing history with lightning," the president said. "My only regret is that it is also terribly true."
The effect of the film was enormous. It increased hatred toward blacks. It made people believe in the history that was portrayed in it. Even Unitarian ministers endorsed it. And it just had a great effect on changing people's attitudes toward blacks and convincing them that these people really do need to be controlled.
At his Atlanta home, Simmons mapped out the vehicle of control in a manual called the Koran. The handbook described the Klan's secret rites, rituals, and oaths. It defined the meanings of strange names created for Klan ceremonies, regions, and officers. Simmons bestowed upon himself the title of Imperial Wizard, Emperor of the Invisible Empire. As Simmons set forth to build his kingdom, he found recruits hard to come by. But Klan publicists devised a sales pitch based on the slogan, 100% Americanism. The new Klan would be a patriotic organization for American-born white Protestants only. It was no longer enough for the Klan to be anti-black. It now added Jews, Catholics, and immigrants to its list of enemies. The recruitment strategy was a spectacular success. Within 15 months, the Klan enrolled more than 100,000 new members. The Klan had tapped a fear in millions of Americans.
In the 20s, a strong portion of America felt invaded. They felt invaded by immigrants. Catholics were growing in number, and they felt that America was no longer the America they knew. And so there was a strong feeling that they wanted to restore the America they knew. And the Klan promised them that too.
But as the Klan grew, so did its problems. Rumors spread about Klan leadership misappropriating funds. rank-and-file Klansmen took to heart the fiery rhetoric being used to increase membership, and acts of violence began to occur. The Klan was rocked by bad press in 1921. Based on information supplied by a former Klan recruiter, the New York World newspaper ran a scathing Klan expose. The paper detailed Klan atrocities and financial irregularities. In response, Congress held hearings into Klan activities. The star witness, Imperial Wizard Simmons, denied all accusations and dazzled the senators. The committee adjourned without taking any action. Amazingly, the investigations had the opposite effect from which they were intended. Simmons claimed the publicity was instrumental in the growth of the Klan.
It wasn't until the newspapers began to attack the Klan that it really grew. Certain newspapers aided us by inducing Congress to investigate us. The result was that Congress gave us the best advertising we ever got. Congress